Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. So look at this, we got a charged up battery here. The old Energizer's all filled up. Atomic clock says it's about 11:45. It is the 6th of October 2015, 60.1, so about 61 degrees. This guy here says it is 15 centigrade, 66% humidity. You can see why I went to the atomic clock, right? I got all these things tell me all different times. This one says 57% humidity, and it tells me it's Tuesday, which means I got to go into work tomorrow. You know, the part-time gig is cool because the money's good, but the part-time gig is a pain in the neck because I'm always looking at what's the weather today and tomorrow and what am I going to do if it rains. You know, I'm off for 2 days. Do I have to put everything away, or can I just kind of, you know, tarp things and leave them out? It's but probably once I retire I'll be bitching that God, if I could only work a couple of days a week, it'd help the money out, and on and on. So I don't know, maybe I just like to bitch. Ignore me. You guys remember this thing? $200 Craigslist deal. The guy I got it from, it was up in Hyde Park, New York. You know, President Roosevelt, his mansion there on the Hudson and all that kind of stuff. So came, as you see, it's complete. Needs to be bolted up. It's got a little Frankenstein here, but I think that's the only place it's Frankensteined. I think these would actually all clean up nicely. The forks are bent enough for the fender to be doing the scrapey scrape there. I don't know how much you guys have ridden. This is a ATC 185 or ATC200. No S, no suspension, no sport model, none of that. We could get close to the next sticker, so let's look at it. So you guys can see it's a 1982 model, and it was built 10 of 81. It actually seems to have some front brake. The back brakes are adjusted all the way to the maximum. Right, you guys can see that right there. Chain is a little crunchy. I don't know if it's a chain that's crunchy or the back bearings. You hear that? Could be the chain. Chain is rusty looking. The guy traded this and a Yamaha three-wheeler, and if I seem to remember the deal on Craigslist. The guy had this thing, and I think it was a YTM 200, and he wanted to trade, and the guy gave him a go-kart. So originally, this is from Marlboro or Highland, the other side of the rail trail, so to speak. Looks like, you know, nice little things like the carburetors there. The guard's still on the exhaust, right? The exhaust appears to all be there. Once again, the plastic is in pretty nice shape. Muffler's here, though the spark arrestor is out of it. It came with a trailer hitch. The tires all seem to hold air. All positives. Whenever I get a bike, I always try to figure out what kind of shape it's in before I go too crazy with it. And I did a compression test up on it. This might have drifted down just a touch. Dry, it's coming in right around 100, give or take a couple of points. Wet, which is, I put some oil down the cylinder, it's coming in at about 125, just under 130. So that's not bad, not great, not bad. Wiring, not quite sure what the heck was going on here. He says it's not sparking. He did change the CDI and he gave me the old CDI, and the CDI did not fix it. He took the whole switch here apart, thinking he might have had a problem there. Anyway, he couldn't get it to spark again. I'm looking at this thing and it looks like they changed, probably kept the same head, but I think they changed the jug at some point. The person who did the work on it did, I mean, generally speaking, pretty good. He managed to get the air filter back on, and you know, I'm not really seeing any horrible stuff. I don't see any blue death or red death coming and squirting out. Those are positive things. I mean, he got all this back on. If I had to guess, given that the plastic is really not faded, this was either stored undercover or in a garage. The gas tank is horribly stinky. I think all the dead gas in the world climbed in there and died, but it's actually a fairly good looking gas tank, and it doesn't seem to be leaking. So this is a tank that I would really consider a pretty good candidate for getting cleaned and lined. A lot of my other candidates, or a lot of my other gas tanks, I really don't consider good candidates. Probably a kid owned it. Kids are really big. I'm liking to change out the handlebars for some reason. Headlights there, front fenders there, all that's good stuff. When I'm told an engine doesn't spark, I like to go to the basics, the things that could be tested easily. And the two things that could be tested easily is the stator. All you have to do is take the black and red wire that goes down here underneath, right down to the stator, and compare that against ground, and you're looking for a couple of 100 ohms, and look at that, we're all happy. Another test you can do while you're doing this to make sure the engine is grounded properly and you're not losing all the energy you're creating by spinning your flywheel to put into the CDI unit is to make sure that you got a halfway decent ground on the body. And it appears so, right? We're getting the same reading when I go up to the body. So this thing probably does not have a ground problem. So that's one thing I like to test. The other thing is this is the pulsar coil, and it should come in somewhere around 30 ohms. And there you see 33 ohms. So as soon as I get a bike, or as soon as you walk over and look at a bike, I normally do the following. I take a quick, what are the cosmetics worth? I gotta be honest with you, you probably, if you eBayed these fenders, even with a little bit of scratching there and the Frankenstein here, I mean, you're well over $100 in fenders, right? Between the three of them, both sides and the front. Headlight, right? By the time you add that to the mix, you probably got most of your 200. Ripcord, I mean, it's there, it functions. The string's a little bit short, but I don't know. Throw $50 on it, all the tires hold air, right? So it's just quickly before we even start futzing around with the engine, we have a couple $100 worth of parts here. I never part them out, but just, you know, what am I getting into? Some bikes you walk up to, you know, frames cracked, right? The steering is completely boogered up. It won't roll. Tires are flat. You know, plastic is crap. Now you're looking at it, and now you got to start being careful, because what are you going to get out of it? You know, sometimes missing the recoil. Sometimes, you know, various covers are off, like the pulse generator cover. Wiring harness is more hacked up than this one. Now you start, you know, you got to be careful with those. Some of those are completely destroyed. Other things, carburetor is there, air cleaner's there, all that's nice, right? Front brake seems to do something, right? And it does roll. So it disengages, all positive. This is not the right handle for this. This handle, like, is set up with a reverse, and these bikes don't have reverse, so I don't know if this cable's any good. Oh, cable is good. I can feel it pulling. So easily, from a parts point of view, she's well worth her $200. Engine point of view, compression, dry at 100, wet at 125. This is probably, I'm not saying definitely, but this engine is probably not the greatest engine in the world. Hopefully it runs, hopefully it doesn't smoke too bad, but this is no virgin engine. Though, I mean, it's not welded. Once again, the cap's on the timing chain. It does have a lot of good points, but it's no brand new baby. Where am I going to go next? Next thing on this rig is to given it claims the stator is good. You guys know, if you're regular watchers, or you'll see shortly, I have two different CDI packages to put on if I'm not sure about the wiring harness. One of my CDI packages is from a pit bike, and I can use the stator that exists here, just hook right up, hook up to this here, run the wire over to the spark plug, and it's basically a wiring harness CDI coil powered by the stator and triggered by the bike's own pulse generator there. So I have that one, and then I have one that if the stator is bad, it runs on 12 volts. It uses a 12 volt CDI. It's got batteries inside of it. And then the only thing it uses from the bikes, two things. It uses the pulsar, because you always have to time whatever CDI unit to the engine, and it uses a spark plug. So and that thing puts out a really nice hot spark. I think it'll start anything. I think it'll jump start the dead if they get hold of the wire and you really zap them good. So I'll probably I'll probably start with the 12 volt CDI just to see if it'll run, and then move to the pit bike CDI. And when I move to the pit bike CDI, I can swap these guys in right to the harness, and the one in the trunk here, right, I can swap those into it because it uses the square box, and I could see if those are any good. So that's the next gig. To do that, I need to we're talking dark chocolate there. We're talking not semi-sweet. We're talking 100% cocoa. So she does seem to have oil in it, though the oil is plenty thin enough. Which means probably after they did this work, at one point it was running. You know, I've been I haven't really looked at this whole wiring package real closely, but I have to be honest with you, it looks, well, that's not good, right? But it really looks like it's put on there pretty good. Anyway, I'll use one of mine to fire it up, but it doesn't look like the harness is horribly hacked. I get a little nervous when I see all the wires pulled out of the headlight like that. This is supposed to be in here, and all these wires are supposed to be in here. Yeah, I'm not sure why he wasn't getting spark. I'm not really seeing anything obvious, and the body ground is good, so I'm not quite sure what his issue was. I'll just go around the ignition system and fire it up that way. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Who knows, with a little bit of luck, this thing could be running hopefully before I get back to my rotation at work. Guys, remember to keep your feet down, heads up, and once again, thanks for hanging with me. Bye.